that protects our families in a way that continues to reunite our families, and we need to make our voices heard now. Let me just say that we are here today because we have a coalition of a number of organizations called the Asian Pacific Islanders for Immigrants' Rights and Empowerment, otherwise known as API FIRE. Don't you like that name? API FIRE. Yes. Let me just mention the group so that you know who they are. The Asian Pacific American Bar Association, the Asian Pacific American Labor Alliance, Los Angeles chapter, the Asian and Pacific Islanders California Action Network, the Asian Pacific Policy and Planning Council, APCON, Aspire Los Angeles, API Equality Los Angeles, the Chinese Rainbow Association, the Council on American Islamic Relations, Greater Los Angeles, FASCI, Filipino Migrant Center, Kaya Los Angeles, Korean Resource Center, KW Lee Center for Leadership, Search to Involve Filipino Americans, South Asian Network, Thai Community Development Center, TIES Inc., SEIU United Service Workers West, and OCA Los Angeles. Today we are joined in this week of action. We are joined by other Asian American and Pacific Islander coalitions from 8 states, including New York, Illinois, Arizona, Florida, Ohio, North Carolina, and Georgia. So we are here today with the Asian American press because we really need your help. You're going to hear some powerful, inspirational messages today from political leaders as well as community members. We really need your help to convey their stories to our community. And then we really are asking our whole community to make their calls now. The immigration bills are being written right now. They are going to be presented within a few weeks. We need calls right now, faxes right now by all our community members, young and old, undocumented, documented citizens. We need the calls right now, and we need that action to our U.S. senators, our congressional leaders, our community organizations. So we need those calls right now. And I'll be giving you the phone number for our U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein at the end of today's press conference, because we need our senior U.S. Senator to support family reunification. We need our U.S. Senator to protect our families. And we need our political leaders to fight for a pathway to citizenship and humane and just immigration reform. We need it done now. Of course, we want our community to naturalize, to register to vote and vote, but regardless of that long-term path, we need the calls now. So let me just say that we know that the Asian American community is very concerned about immigration. We, the Legal Center, did a phone poll after the November 2012 election for President of the United States. In that poll, we found that 82% of Asian Americans said that it was either very important or somewhat important to have immigration at the forefront of the presidential campaigns. And they said that 82% of them said that immigration made a difference on who they voted for U.S. president. So 82% of Asian Americans said the position of the presidential candidates on immigration was either very important or somewhat important in their choice. That was great. President Obama received over 70% of the votes of Asian Americans, both in California and around the United States. But now, he needs the help, we need the help to make sure that we get a fair, comprehensive, humane immigration bill passed in the U.S. Senate, in the House of Representatives, and signed by President Obama. We know that there's a bipartisan group of 8 U.S. senators, sometimes it's called the Gang of 8. They are developing proposals right now as we speak. They may present it in the next week or two. And we have heard that one of the considerations that they're making is to drop the category that we would reunify our families for brothers and sisters of U.S. citizens, as well as adult married children of legalized residents and citizens. So we really need to make our voices heard. Right now, we already have 9 states mobilizing in our community to make sure that our political leaders know that it is unacceptable to cut our family categories. We need our families united, and that's why we are stronger. That's why our communities are stronger. That's why our country is stronger when our families can be reunited. Let me just say that today we are going to have stories of Asian Pacific Americans and Pacific Islanders who have suffered as a result of our broken immigration system. We want solutions. We want you to make sure that your readers, your listeners, your viewers help us make the case. Immigration reform is not possible every year. It's not possible every 5 years. It's possible every maybe 20 years. So this is the time we need to mobilize our communities to make sure that our political leaders know what is important to our community. Let me thank everybody for coming, and let me give special thanks to Congresswoman Judy Chu. Judy Chu has been a strong voice, a strong leader for our community for a number of years. But now she's really on a hot seat in a way. She is a member of the House Judiciary Committee that will be looking at the immigration bills. She is also the chair of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus. And the caucus will be very important to determine a voice for Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders throughout the United States as the Senate and the House look at these immigration bills. So let me first welcome Congresswoman Judy Chu.
Thank you, Stuart, and thank you, Asian Pacific American Legal Center, for pulling together this very, very important Asian Immigration Coalition. You know, I've just come back from Washington, D.C., and the news that I've heard alarmed me. And that's why I had to jump up and say that we have to raise our voices, and it is urgent that we do so. You know, there are those that think that only Latinos are concerned about immigration reform, but nothing could be further from the truth. Asians are now the largest group of new immigrants coming into this country. We face some of the longest waiting periods for legal immigration, up to 24 years for some trying to move here from the Philippines. And even though Asians make up 6% of the U.S. population, we make up over 40% of family immigration backlogs. So, Asian Americans clearly have a stake in what goes on in comprehensive immigration reform. Unfortunately, it's possible that our needs may not be paid attention to. It didn't take long for news to leak that Republicans wanted to cut the number of family-based visas, something that will disproportionately affect the Asian community. They claimed that if we end the right to bring siblings here and stop parents from bringing their children here if their child is married and above the age of 21, that this will provide for what they call chain migration, more people coming. And they claimed that we need to cut these visas to make room for other visas instead. But these claims are ridiculous. Immigration is not a zero-sum game. There is no reason why we can't have both family-based and work-based visas increased at the same time. And in fact, if we're trying to attract the world's best and brightest, many of those that are coming on work visas will also want to bring their families. And think about what these lawmakers are trying to dictate. Who's to say what the most important relationship is within a family? Sister and brother, parent and child, every family is different, and no one should have the right to dictate which family bonds matter and which ones do not. Some siblings are closer to each other than they are to the parents. So the notion that lawmakers should tell siblings not to bring each other into this country is absurd. And the same can be said about married adult children. Since when do children become less important to parents when they become married? If a child deserves to come to the U.S. when they are single, what changes after they take their vows? Well, when I heard about what was being discussed in the Senate, I had to jump into action. As chair of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, I led a letter along with 23 other lawmakers to the members of the Gang of Eight, the Senate group that is writing this legislation. We urge them to preserve family-based immigration and to recognize the importance of this to the Asian American community. I also talked to each member of the Senate committee, and I also talked to members of the House committee that I know are involved with writing the House version of this bill. The senators listened, but listening is not the same as taking action. And so we need to have a nationwide movement of Asian Pacific Islanders that will raise their voice, because some say that the Asian voice has not been heard in this issue. We must make sure that our concerns are met. And that's why what we are doing here today is so important. Individually, of course, we all have the power to speak out, but collectively, we are far more powerful than we ever could be alone. Americans have long valued initiative and responsibility, especially when it comes to making a living for their families. One of the best ways to make sure families are successful is for them to have their members over. It's the best safety net ever to make sure that these families succeed. As a nation, we benefit when these families come together and support one another. And that's why we need to make sure that we keep family visas intact. Thank you, and let's make sure that our voices are heard all across this nation.
Okay, let's hear it for Congresswoman Judy Chu. We are also having a rally at Senator Dianne Feinstein's office next Wednesday, and we're inviting the press to come out at 12 noon because we need to make sure that our senators are with us all the way in this fight for humane and just comprehensive immigration reform. Now, please welcome Young-Hak Cho, who will be talking about precisely what Judy was talking about, the family backlog, and he is representing the Korean Resource Center today. Welcome, Mr. Cho.
Woohoo!
Hello. My name is Young-Hak Cho. I am 73 years old. From 1984 through 2005, I worked for the 8th U.S. Army in South Korea. In 2005, I immigrated with my wife to the United States. And in 2010, I made the decision to become a United States citizen. My life changed in 2008 when my daughter Soyeon told me that her husband suddenly passed away. Overnight, my daughter became a single mother living with the young children in South Korea. Life was too difficult for Soyeon to care for two young children and work full-time. Soyeon made the painful decision to send her children to me and my wife. Since 2008, my wife and I have been our two grandchildren, Hyunjin and Hyunse's guardians. I love my grandchildren and they bring so much joy in my life. However, they miss their parents, their mother. I petitioned for my daughter in 2008, but her petition is still pending. It makes me sad to know that my children will not have a father, but now they don't even have a mother. I urge legislators to remember the importance of family and to reduce the backlash. Thank you.
Let's hear it for Mr. Cho. When we talk about family reunification, we are also talking about LGBTQ inclusion and the importance of same-sex binational couples to be able to reunite as well. Let me welcome Andrew Pham and Mark Weyer, representing API Equality. Let's welcome Andrew and Mark.
Hi. Sorry, my partner couldn't be here today. He works for Metrolink and they have very strict schedules. So, good afternoon. My name is Andrew Pham. I am a gay Canadian of Vietnamese descent in a binational relationship with a native-born American. We've been together for the past 2.5 years, and I've been working in America on a trade NAFTA visa for the last 10 years. Together, we have built an amazing life. We moved into a historic condo in Hollywood and own a successful clothing line called Van Wolf. We have forged ahead to make our dreams a reality here in the United States, even though there's always a possibility that I will be deported and asked to return to Canada once my work visa expires. I love my partner very much and don't want anything to disrupt the amazing dreams of a happy life together. But because of the federal government's refusal to recognize the legal marriages of lesbian and gay couples due to the so-called Defense Marriage Act, and because of our current immigration law's limited definition of family, the spouses of lesbian and gay U.S. citizens and green card holders are not considered family under immigration law. We ask the Supreme Court to overturn the Defense of Marriage Act, and we urge Congress to ensure the unity of LGBT families by amending immigration laws to ensure that we have the same immigration rights and benefits as our fellow immigrants, including allowing the right to sponsor green cards for our partners. Thank you very much for your time.
Again, let's hear it for Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. Now, to talk about the horrible impacts of detention and deportation, we have Jirayu Samoran, who will be speaking from the Thai CDC. Let's welcome Jirayu.
My name is Jirayu. I am undocumented single mom. and only me alone, I support my daughter, and her name is Isabella, who is a U.S. citizen. I am a masseuse. This is how I earn a living to support my daughter. About a month ago, 15 law enforcement officers show up at my work and arrest me, and I was very afraid. While I was handcuffed, the officer went through my bag without search warrant. He found a fake California ID, but I had the real ID from Washington State. Everything happened so quickly, and I had no time to explain. The officer took me to the sheriff's station of Valencia. After 5 days, I was taken to the court. They forced me to sit and wait with another criminal, including homicide, burglary suspects. We all were chained together. I could not afford a lawyer. Ultimately, I was placed in immigration detention by myself. And the enforcement officer from ICE had me choose from 3 options. First, hearing to remain in the US. Second, I would be injured if I return to my country. And the third, I admit I am in the US illegally. And I have to do the voluntary departure. At this point, the Thai ICE officer asked if I need to stay with my child. But the English-speaking officer told me I should choose the third option. So I had to sign the third option to do voluntary departure. After going to immigration detention, I had to house with 70 other women, mostly Latinas, not many Asian at all. It was always noisy at day and night. When we showered, there was no privacy. The male inmates were able to see us from the other side of the showers. I feel violated. I was held in detention for 11 days from March 17 when I was transferred by the ICE. But I was one of the lucky ones. I met Kun Panida from Thai CDC on the March 17, and she was able to advise me on my legal option and how I could reunite with my daughter. Then I was released on the March 18. Being monolingual, I was detained for over 2 weeks. Only through Thai CDC, I was able to get released. I was unjustly detained. All persons detained should be treated humanly and granted access to interpreter, the quality medical and mental health care, and the counselor and legal information and other protections. In these jail-style facilities, people language are essentially treated like the criminals.
Hi, I'm Panita Jansa from the Thai Community Development Center. I'd just like to add that over 90,000 Californians have been torn from their families and deported as a result of the controversial Secure Communities program alone. We must put an end to draconian enforcement-heavy immigration policies such as the 1996 Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act, which have resulted in massive deportations of aspiring citizens and compromised the fundamental right to a day in court. We must also pass the Trust Act in California.
Let's hear it for Isabella, Jirayu, and Panita. Thank you so much. That's the story of why we need immigration reform, and we need it now so that the tearing apart of families does not continue. Let me now welcome Jewel Alingasa, who is with the API Dreamer organization, Aspire LA, to talk about a pathway to citizenship and that important demand in our comprehensive immigration reform. Jewel?
Good afternoon. My name is Jewel, and I am but one of the 1.3 million undocumented Asian Americans here in the United States. I came here with my family from the Philippines when I was just 2 years old, and since then we've remained here. And it hasn't been easy. My mother, who is so hardworking, somehow always manages to put food on the table. There was a time where it was difficult to find work. And when my mother finally found someone who was willing to hire her, she worked hard and tirelessly. And when the month was up and it was time to get paid, her employer refused to pay her. My mom walked away without a paycheck, but she didn't give up on her family. Now, personally, me and my mom have never really gotten along, but I recognize how admirable she is. And I also recognize that the idea of having to wait 20 plus years for the possibility of a citizenship is largely unrealistic, as she has sacrificed so much of her time already. My grandfather, I never met him. He passed away in the Philippines. My father had to watch his funeral on a videotape that was mailed to us on the screen of a very small television set. He mourned the death of his dad, who he had also not seen in many years because he too was making sacrifices. I am hoping that my mother won't have to go through that. I am hoping that she will be here to see me gradually, that she'll be able to see me make so many more life achievements. I am hoping that she won't have to see my siblings and I living through milestones as she watches from the screen of a laptop or the set of a television, all across a body of ocean. With a direct pathway to citizenship, my mom, other moms, many other families can stay together. They can stay, they can live, they can contribute and thrive in a society that they have always called home. And that has always been their dream. Thank you.
Yeah, let's hear it for Jewel. Immigration reform is also important for business. And to speak about that, let us welcome Narong Satanochai from the Thai Chamber of Commerce. Narong.
Thank you, everybody. Look like a story and you'll never be in. I work with the Thai Chamber, with board member. We have a lot of members at the board, Thai Chamber, more than 300 or 400 people. Every single day, the story I have it touches my heart. It never ends. I never have experience in my life to be illegal, but every day pass by, I have to deal with all illegal people. With Thai people work so hard, so many people die in the US without contact family in Thailand. I would like lawmakers to see the story, to see them, family broken. Someone have to fix this problem. We are a human. You cannot judge people by the color of the hair, color of the skin. You cannot be separate them. I want the people to have the basic right. Many Thai people work so hard, 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, work under pay. Let them get out from those problems. Let them go to school. Give them education like everybody else have it. Make it equal, like everybody try to say USA that's an equal opportunity, but it's not. I wish sooner or later those people have equal opportunity to prove human is the same thing. Let them prove. Now they cannot do anything. They work under pay. They work so hard. Mom is over there. Dad is over here. The kid is somewhere. It broke my heart. That's why 3 minutes is not enough for me. If I keep talking that, I can talk about that all year long. And I hope everybody help each other to make the immigration reform coming through possible. Thank you for my time. Thank you so much.
Let's hear it for Narong again. One of the crucial allies in this fight for immigration reform is labor. And there's probably no better representative than Mike Garcia, the head of SEIU, United Service Workers West. And I also want to thank APALA, the Asian Pacific American Labor Alliance, represented by Jan Takamura, who's been a staunch ally of our community for many, many years. Please welcome Mike Garcia.
My message today is very, very simple. Labor stands behind this moment. SCIU, the AFL-CIO, and the entire labor movement stand strongly behind the moment to finally accomplish and win comprehensive, common sense immigration reform. I've never seen the labor movement in my union so engaged in this effort, in this fight, because we share with all of you the pain and the agony of undocumented workers and broken families and exploitation on the job, lost wages, crying children, crying families. It's time to change that. It's time to give dignity and justice and stability to the lives of the hard-working 11 million undocumented immigrants in this country. Most of them are workers. Most of them need fairness and justice in a union, such as our janitors that organize through the Justice for Janitors movement to build a strong union, to build a future, to win health care, to win dignity and justice in their work lives and in their personal lives and in their communities. So we stand with the Asian Law Alliance, and I thank APALA for helping, inviting me here today in FIRE. We are united. We are together. It's not just a Latino issue. It's not just a union issue. It's all our issue. It's not just an immigrant issue. It's an American issue. Because we are America. We represent the new America. We represent the future of America. And we actually represent the past and the history of America, which was founded off the hard labor and sacrifices of the hard-working immigrants, our parents and our grandparents. They came here over the generations to build this great country. That hasn't changed. We are still the workforce that make America work. It cannot work without us. And the economy cannot get back on track without us and giving us the justice, dignity, fair wages, and spending power to spend into our economy, to revive it. So this is an issue that affects all of us. We hope to see you on the 10th, next Wednesday, where we'll be outside Dianne Feinstein's office to send a message strong and clear. We are all united in this effort to win dignity and justice for the immigrant community that we all come from and represent, and for America. Thank you very much.
Let's thank Mike Garcia again. Okay, so next Wednesday at 12 noon, there's a rally at Senator Feinstein's office. By the way, her phone number is 310-914-7300. Again, 310-914-7300. Her fax number, if you're writing all this down, is 310-914-7318. Believe me, it is very important for our community to call or to fax her. It is very important for our community to call or fax our own congressional representatives. Whenever we see our representatives and they say they get hundreds of calls against immigration and one call for immigration reform, it affects them. So we really need your help in the ethnic media to reach out to our community now to get them to make that call, to make them to do that fax. So let me just say, you have all the API FIRE representatives. I want to thank the representatives from the Asian Pacific American Legal Center, Betty Hung, Connie Choi, Anthony Nong, Jessica Yamane, and I want to thank them all for providing help for this session Karen Wong is here as well. So we want, if you have any other ideas of how to contact our representatives, please give us a call. Please help us now. And let me thank Congresswoman Judy Chu for her staunch leadership. We're going to need her to be as strong as possible in these coming weeks and these coming months. So let's hear it for Congresswoman Judy Chu. And let me thank Young Hak, Andrew, Jarayu, Isabella, Panita, Jewel, Narong, Mike. We need their stories to be told by all of you, but most importantly, we need action now. Now I will introduce Kevin and Anthony to lead us in a cheer for immigration reform. Kevin and Anthony, where are you? Let's hear it for Kevin and Anthony.
So we'll say, we inspire, and you say API fire, okay? 1, 2, 3. We inspire!
API fire!
We inspire!
API fire!
We inspire!
API fire!
We inspire!
API fire!
And now we're gonna end with something called the Unity Clap. So the Unity Clap started in Delano, California. So if you looked here, to your right, this beautiful mural right here. So you see a picture of Philip Cruz, Leonard Leon, and Cesar Chavez. So that happened in the 60s. So in the 60s, during the Delano grape strike, Filipino American farm workers and Mexican American farm workers were organized together for justice. And I think this coalition really represents our community coming together, right? So in the end of their meeting, they would do this thing called the Unity Clap, and they would start really slow, like the beat of a heart, and it gets faster and faster and faster, and it would symbolize the movement growing, right? The more people join the movement, the more power our community has. And in the end, we make a big clap and we yell isang bagsak, which means one fall in Tagalog, Filipino. But we interpret it as a community, we fall together, and as a community, we rise together. And I think in this battle for immigration reform, that really has a big message, and it really reflects the immigrant community's need for immigration reform now. So in the count of 3, I think let's just practice. Let's say isang bagsak. 1, 2, 3. Isang bagsak. So we're gonna do it right now. Okay, so